Okay guys, this is a Landa model MHC3-3000 gas engine drive, direct drive water pump with the 12-volt burner on the back. And the customer complaint here was that the engine would run for a while, and then it could be an hour or two, and then it would just die, just cut off automatically. They'd have to let it sit for a while, and then they could go ahead and they could start it right back up again, run for another hour or two. Oil level is good. The color of the oil looks nice. We checked the oil right here at the bottom at the dipstick. Oil level's good. Wasn't really able to duplicate the nature of the problem. We discussed with the customer the possibility that they got a oil sending unit issue, and he's going to, when a problem is duplicated, go ahead and disconnect that and see if that starts or that corrects the problem. It could also be an ignition coil that's getting hot and the windings on the coil are opening up. That's kind of where I suspect that to be. We checked the inside of the fuel tank. Fuel tank is clean. The strainer on the inside of the fuel tank is clean. We verified that the fuel being filled with the machine, the tank is dedicated solely for gasoline, and they have a separate one for their diesel tank. So we're pretty much eliminating the possibility at this point of fuel contamination. Check the air filter. Air filter looks new. We have an RPM indicator here. It's an hour meter at idle or standby, and then when the engine's running, it's the RPM. We verified the proper RPMs, verified that the fuel master valve is fully on, choke is in the right position, explained the need to run the unit at full throttle all the time, that the power for the heat exchanger gets from the engine itself, so it's got to be on all the time. Rope starts nicely. Went ahead and replaced the spark plug just as a matter of process, and see if that makes any difference at all. It did die on us one time for no reason. It just quits, almost like it's an ignition. It's not coughing. How sometimes when the engine runs out of fuel, it'll sit and cough and sputter and then finally die out. I mean, it just quits almost like the ignition is being interrupted. So this is a direct drive pump. It's a Landa pump, model LG3035G1. It's actually a Legacy with their name on it. Direct drive. It's rated for 3 gallons at 3,500 psi. You would think that the machine has capability of 3 at 3,000 based on the model number of the machine, but in actuality, when you look at the ID tag, it's actually 2.83 at 3,000. With the number 3 nozzle, they did have a nozzle that was plugged up at 40 degree. And we went ahead and cleaned out that 40-degree nozzle, got it back going again. And they also complained about a problem with when they first hook it up and try to run it, it's hard to build pressure. And so we explained to them that when you get air in the garden hose, that the machine has a hard time getting that air to go through. So we talked about disconnecting garden hose right at the machine, turning it on at the faucet, flushing the hose good, make sure all the air's out of it, and then hooking it back up to the machine. We even discussed about putting a ball valve right here between the garden hose and the inlet of the machine, so that you can open the ball valve and allow that water and any air in the garden hose to bleed out onto the ground. So that's one way to prevent that water from creating a problem inside, building up pressure. Let's see, you can see everything there being direct drive. You got the yellow tank for the diesel, a diesel burner. It's a Beckett, standard Beckett diesel burner. Have a disposable metal can cartridge fuel filter, and they have a rectifier underneath. It's not visible, but it's underneath the ID tag, so that's something to be mindful of. If there's going to be any water or moisture or anything like that underneath, that'll short out that burner circuit. It says it's intended for outdoor use, store indoors, but you can't use it inside. Let's see. Got the vertical only flow switch with the close coupled unloader, so be mindful of running it in extended periods of time. It has the thermal overload on the head of the pump. We talked about the reliability of those, as well as we've got an easy start there that we'll go over with the customer too, the problems with the easy start. Let's see, it's pretty much all I can think of Pretty straightforward. If you have any questions, go ahead and contact your supervisor. And I think that's it.